Welcome back, book nerds. Today I want to do a review on Book of Night by Holly Black. Holly Black, known as a YA author for the Cruel Prince series, this is her first step into adult fantasy. And it doesn't feel like this is her first step into adult fantasy. If I'm being honest, I don't love this book, and here's why. For a book that sold itself as an adult fantasy book, this felt like YA with F bombs, basically. This book has no atmosphere at all and very little world building. Some good ideas, but unrealized ideas. This is a low fantasy book, meaning that it is a fantasy book in our world. Specifically, right now, modern fantasy. It's in Springfield, Massachusetts. She drives a Toyota Corolla. It's just like today, maybe a couple years in the future. I'm sorry to say that I didn't really enjoy this book, and I don't know who I would recommend this story to. It felt almost tacky to read it, and it was very difficult for me to finish it. And it's a small book, and it read very quickly. So let's talk about the magic a little bit. This book has what's called shadow magic and secret society. So it had good ideas. The idea of shadow magic was fun, unrealized. It felt like the author's like, hey, I got an idea. What if I write a book about shadow magic? And then I don't come up with any ideas about shadow magic. And that is basically what happened. We have we have a cool idea which starts a great fantasy book, and then it's unrealized, and it just we just kind of drift away from it. I mean, these ideas sound like a cool setting for a high fantasy epic fantasy book, and I'm down with a modern fantasy book. The Greenbone Saga was modern fantasy. They had cars and guns and all kinds of crap. I don't care about modern fantasy. That's fine. I care about a good story, and this is not a good story. The book talks about how shadows can come alive, and you can augment your shadows to do things, and you have alterationists to augment your shadows as if you're getting tattoos, and you don't want that shadow with those horns because someday you're gonna go get a job and no one's gonna want to hire you when you have a shadow that looks like a demon. I mean, it's funny, it's true, but then that's as far as they take it. I was like, come on, you had a great idea. Let's run with it. Let's see how far you can take it. The main character is an ex con artist, and she is trying to steal back the Book of Night. So it could be stolen again from somebody else. And so she goes back into her con artist ways to try and steal the book back from her stepfather. And beyond that, the characters' motivations are fuzzy. In fact, almost all the characters' motivations are fuzzy. She has no agency, reason why she's doing the things that she's doing. Which brings me to the main problem of this book. The characters are just one level. You don't get any deep dives on any of the characters. You get like small sprinkles of history and backstory with these characters, but you don't really get too much into them. I mean, there's more time spent on the hot love interest than there is in the main character and her motivations. I feel that if this book had been fleshed out, if this book had dived into the characters, taken the magic system and brought it into a hard magic system so we can get some reasonings behind this, it's intriguing. It could have been such a great story if it had just been worked on a little more. If we had some motivations, if we understood why the characters were doing these things, if we understood the history of the world. And I get it. It's a modern fantasy. It's based on Earth. We know the history of the world, blah, blah, blah. But the history of the magic exists in this world. And we act like it's always existed. It's no big deal. We just do these things. Why? Why do we do these things? Why has the magic always existed? Where did it come from? These are things that I want to know. So that being said, I give this book a solid C minus. Is it well written? Yes, it's well written, though a little tacky, but still well written. There are mostly intriguing ideas with this book. It just didn't reach the potential that it was capable of reaching. So I'm sad to say, C minus. Read fantasy.